still a long way from Alaska. Marchessault asked So if she knew anyone who could help drive them the rest of the way, a suggestion made in a Canadian travel Facebook group. So turned to social media, contacting Canadian military veteran Tanya Hunt. Hunt's post seeking help made its way to a Canadian veteran page and, eventually, Canadian Army Ranger Gary Bath. I saw lots of people saying they wish they were able to help and would if they could. I talked to my wife Selena and decided that I would help them get the rest of the way, Bath told Alaska Highway News. It's getting close to Christmas, and you don't want to see a family split up for Christmas. Read the original article on Business Insider. U.S. Marines have been spending more time in Norway training for winter warfare, and in addition to harsh weather and rough terrain, they also have to navigate a language barrier. In late November, they headed to the northern village of Cedarmoen for Exercise Reindeer 2 to train on extreme terrain and to synchronize tactics, techniques and procedures with their Norwegian counterparts. One particular area for alignment became obvious, according to MAJ, General Lars Lervik, Chief of the Norwegian Army. One of the most important lessons we have learned is that we need a mutual understanding of what the different military terms mean, so that when an order is given, we can both act in the same way, Lervik said. Lervik added that he had never seen integration between the two forces this good before, but like him, a Marine official acknowledged that extra steps are needed to make sure everybody knows what everybody else is doing. While communication among U.S. and Norwegian forces takes place in English without any difficulty, small differences in units' standard operating procedures, professional experiences, and, in some cases, doctrinal terminology do exist, MAJ. Adrian Rankin Galloway, spokesman for Marine Corps Forces Europe-Africa, said in an email, "They have several methods to overcome those differences, including nearly identical planning processes, and liaisons embedded at the brigade, battalion, and company level, to facilitate mutual understanding," Rankin Galloway said, adding that such liaisons have been present throughout the Marine rotations in Norway since 2017. Marines and Norwegian soldiers also made sure that they had a mutual understanding of their tasks and procedures during planning meetings for Exercise Reindeer 2. Rankin Galloway cited as an example a series of forward passage of lines, a complex maneuver that occurs when a unit passes through another unit's positions while moving toward the enemy, that the two forces conducted during the exercise. The maneuver involves transferring the responsibility for an area of operations between two commanders and requires clear communication between both forces to ensure their safety and ability to carry out their missions, Rankin Galloway said. Understanding and interoperability. Marines and sailors taking part in the current deployment of Marine Rotational Force Europe arrived in Norway in late October and went through a quarantine before beginning their training. Theirs is first of what the Corps said in August will be shorter, episodic, deployments of varying numbers of Marines rather than the months-long rotations of several hundred Marines that the Corps started doing in Norway in 2017. Those shorter deployments will be aligned with Norwegian exercises, which the Corps says, will allow for increased operational flexibility. Broader changes to the Corps force structure mean other adjustments to its presence in Norway, including the removal of tanks it has stored for decades in a secret cave complex. Other U.S. service branches are also increasing their interactions with NATO's northernmost member. Russia, with which Norway shares an increasingly tense border, has watched that activity warily. U.S. Marines train all over the world with troops who speak many different languages. A Navy planner told Insider in 2019 that language barriers typically don't impede planning for such operations, but communicating about communicating can sometimes lead to hiccups. In mid-2019, it was reported that Australian troops had been told not to use their country's many slang terms around visiting Marines in order to avoid confusion. but an Australian military spokesperson told Stars and Stripes that the officer whose comments prompted those reports was only citing the potential to misinterpret each nation's everyday language as an example to highlight how training together improves understanding and interoperability. More from Business Insider. Iran says that its top nuclear scientist was killed with a machine gun controlled via satellite. U.S. allies are acting like Iran is going to attack Jewish sites as revenge for nuclear scientist's assassination. 19 unforgettable images from the Pearl Harbor attack 79 years ago. Trump bragged about a weapon that doesn't appear to actually exist. The U.S. brokered an unprecedented summit between Israel and Saudi Arabia as a reward for assassinating an al-Qaeda leader. Sources say. Show full article.